Are you serious? Are you serious, guys? We have breaking news. There's been an assassination and a major attempt to assassinate at least two Minnesota state lawmakers in the state of Minnesota in their home. 4 people have been shot. One Minnesota representative, Melissa Hortman, is dead. She was assassinated. And another lawmaker there in Minnesota has also been shot and is in grave condition. Let me just tell you all about this in just a second, okay? I've got the details, and this is scary, and there's a manifesto involved. Let me put this out there for you guys. A lot of people are feeling a lot of pain, and not just mentally or emotionally, but physically. If you're suffering from daily pain, please listen very closely because, folks, the tides are turning. Thank God they are. It is no secret that Big Pharma isn't interested in your relief. They want you hooked on pain pills forever, it seems, profiting billions in the process. Their motives have been unmasked, and a natural pain solution has taken hold throughout the United States. That solution is named Kahanaline, which may be your ticket to a life without pain. Chances are you have already heard someone talking about it, as it has changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans. Over 2 million bottles were shipped last year. Why is this so popular? I'm going to tell you why. The drug-free innovation has been studied for 14 years, and it gives you pain relief. Look, relief without the side effects, without the grogginess, without the risk of addiction. There's no doubt about this. Go right now and click on that link below this video. It's www.trycono.com/Paul. That's trycono.com/Paul. Scientists are already calling this the nature's morphine, and it's the only substance ever proven to activate your body's natural pain molecules, the very same ones upon which pain meds are designed. This means you could be 7 short days away from a life without pain. And here's the deal. Look, you could try this risk-free for 90 days, okay? And see if it works for you. Find out about it. Guys, go right now to www.trycono.com/Paul. That's trycono.com/Paul. You'll be glad that you did. All right. Well, let me just say right now, I'm very, very, very distraught. You know, I've been worried all night. Matter of fact, all night long, I've been very concerned about 2 major things. One, the war between Israel and Iran. And number 2, the political war, the upheaval, the internal, what looks like an internal hostile takeover of America is in process. And I've been very concerned. Now, here's what happened, so you guys will know. This happened in Minnesota representative, a state representative, not a congressional, okay? So it's not Congress or Senate, but it is state. State Representative Melissa Hortman was assassinated this morning along with her husband in their home. And then the shooter, who was dressed like a police officer. He even had a car that was had the lights, and the car looked like a police car. He was wearing what looked like a police vest. He had a badge. He had a gun. He had a taser. And he went in and killed Melissa Hortman and her husband. And apparently then he must have got in the car and drove over to the Senator John Hoffman's home, where he went in and shot him and his wife. Both of them multiple times. Both of them are still alive. They've went through surgeries, and Senator John Hoffman is in grave condition in this targeted violence. Now, 2 Minnesota lawmakers who were shot, apparently by the same man who was dressed in disguise like a police officer. The Minnesota state representative and her husband were shot and killed in their home, at about 2:30 in the morning. They anticipate that must have been about the time, about 2:30 in the morning. Then the man drove not too far to the next house where he went in and apparently shot the senator and his wife multiple times, leaving them both in absolute critical condition. Actually, State Senator John Hoffman, a Democrat, and his wife were shot multiple times. Representative Melissa Hortman, a Democrat, her and her husband were shot and killed. We're cautiously optimistic right now. According to Governor Tim Walz, he says we are cautiously optimistic. Maybe they'll survive this assassination attempt. The two shooting locations were just miles away from each other. One was in Champlin, Minnesota, the other one in Brooklyn Park, just north of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hoffman and his wife were shot around 2 a.m. in Champlin, according to Superintendent of Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, Drew Evans. After Hoffman was shot, officers were headed to proactively check on Melissa Hortman. When they got there, they encountered the suspect, get this, at Hortman's home around 3:35 a.m. The officers found a person who was dressed like a police officer, wearing a vest. He had a badge. He had a taser. He had a gun and other equipment. He was standing at the door, coming out of the Hortman's house. The suspect then fired at the Minnesota police officers. The gunfire was exchanged, and the suspect was able to escape and flee on foot. This is incredible. The suspects, and they didn't get him. Apparently, they must have missed, and he must have missed shooting them. And he ran, and they couldn't catch him, and he got away. I mean, you would have thought they would have been calling, and maybe they were just. The suspect's vehicle, though, was left, which looked like a police vehicle, including police lights. It was sitting in Melissa Hortman's driveway. A list of other possible targets was retrieved inside the suspect's car. He had a list of others to kill, including many other lawmakers, apparently state lawmakers in Minnesota. We don't know. Maybe he also had the governor. We don't know. They have not released the list of who he was going to kill. He also left a manifesto. Security resources have been dispatched to try to protect those people named on the list in Minnesota. The gunman has been attacked. The gunman attacked by knocking on the doors, asking the victims to come out, police said. The gunman did say something to the victims, police said, but authorities did not reveal what that was. Apparently because Mrs. What was John's name? I'm so sorry, it slipped my mind right now. Senator John, is his name Long? I'm sorry. But apparently his wife, still able to be conscious, was able to tell them what the suspect looked like and what he said. But that has not been released yet. President Donald Trump has been briefed on the shooting. He said such horrific violence will not be tolerated. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt posted on social media attributing the statement to President Donald Trump. Attorney General Pam Bondi said she closely monitoring the developments in Minnesota after what appears to be a targeted attack against state lawmakers. This horrific violence will not be tolerated and will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, Pam Bondi said in a statement. Now, U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar, who is a Democrat from Minnesota, she called the victims close friends and said they were devoted to their families and to public service. This is a stunning act of violence. I'm thankful for all the law enforcement who are responding in real time, she said. My prayers are with the Hortmans families and the Hoffmans families. John Hoffman, okay. Melissa Hortman was the former Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives, and she was a state representative. Democrat National Committee Chair Ken Martin, formerly the Minnesota Democratic Party chair, said his that he's friends with both Hoffman and Hortman. Martin wrote on social media that he's completely heartbroken and praying hard for both the families. FBI Deputy Director Dan Borgino said the agency is fully engaged on the ground right now in Minnesota. And with the manhunt ongoing, police are urging the community members to be very cautious. And in Brooklyn Park is under a shelter in place, according to officials. Police are warning, if an officer comes to your door, call 911 to confirm that an officer is supposed to be there. This is dangerous now. When an individual can disguise themselves as a police officer, and including driving a car that looks like a police car, and comes to your door, people are going to answer the door. You see a police officer, you're going to open the door to see what they want. Well, now they're telling everybody in Minnesota, if a police officer comes to your door, don't open the door, call 911 and ask if he's supposed to be there. Now, guys, let me tell you why this is very, very, very concerning. Because if you're ICE, your job is to go to house, to go to locations, and to apprehend illegal aliens or illegal individuals, some of which are criminals, murderers, or whatever, suspects. But now, if an ICE officer goes to the door, the people will not answer the door, but instead call 911. Now, this does give the illegals an opportunity to flee because, okay, you see what I'm saying? This situation does put, and not just this, any police officer, let's say you're going to a door because you have a warrant, or you go to the door because you're serving somebody a lawsuit, or somebody's being for divorce, or somebody needs to be notified about somebody in their family was in a car accident. There's so many reasons that police officers legitimately come to people's doors. But now you have a situation in the state of Minnesota where you can't answer that door right now. You better call 911 and ask if he's supposed to be there. Now, 911's not going to know every time. You get a 911 operator. You call and you say, hey, I'm here. I'm at my home. There's a police officer outside my door. Is he supposed to be here? I guarantee you that Minnesota, wherever they are, 911 operator doesn't know where every police officer at every door is at. So they're going to say, I don't know. I don't have any records of them. So now the individual doesn't answer the door. Now you have a serious cascading situation here. And this is all part of the crisis in America. Lawlessness and now pretending to be the law even creates more lawlessness. This is a dangerous situation. And Minnesota's already been under a lot of danger due to the number of illegal immigrants that are in that state, or because of some of the radicalized jihadis that live in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area. This compounds the whole situation. Now, I'm not a police officer or law enforcement. I'm just not. But I will say that this creates a chaotic, especially on the day that there's 2,000 protests scheduled across America, which is all about protesting against the current government. This situation just compounds the suspicion and the possibilities for something to go wrong. Obviously, we got to catch this guy. I can't believe that he was able to get away on foot, but he's probably taken off the vest. He's probably gotten rid of whatever he was wearing that made him look like a police officer, and he's blended back into the population. And my concern is, was he acting alone, or is there more assassins out there? And was this guy just deranged? I don't think he's deranged. I think you have to be deranged to think you're going to go around and kill a bunch of people. But He's obviously plotting, planning, and has the ability to do what he's doing. And so we're very concerned. We need you to pray right now for Minnesota. I'm praying for the state of Minnesota. I'm praying for the people of Minneapolis. I'm praying for the families of Melissa Hortman, the representative from Minnesota that was killed. I'm praying for John Hoffman and his wife who were shot multiple times, are still alive, but John Hoffman is gravely ill. So I'm very concerned. This is a horrible situation, and we're just getting started, folks. We have protesting already beginning across America, and it's going to go on throughout the night. Meanwhile, there is a military parade by the President of the United States celebrating the Army's 250th birthday. And while that's going to be going on, obviously there's concern, security concern for that situation. So think about this. How many police officers will it take to and state police and local and the sheriff's departments and the Department of Homeland Security and U.S. Marshals and the FBI and even the CIA? How many people will be involved trying to keep peace and safety just in Washington, but then throw out 2,000 protests simultaneously across the nation? How much law enforcement would it take to protect the people during all of these demonstrations, of which I hope they're all peaceful. I hope they all stay peaceful. But if you were going to commit a crime, if you were going to pretend to be a police officer, if you were going to try to assassinate, this would be the opportune time when America has everybody on edge. This is not good, so I need you to pray, okay? This is beyond politics. We're past that. Forget it. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat. This is about a hostile takeover of the United States. This is about taking down the nation. This plot has been, I wrote about this. I quote to you in my book. In my book, I wrote about the Communist Manifesto, and I show you what the plot, the plan to take over America. Meanwhile, Israel being bombed and massive destruction last night in Tel Aviv. And the war is really on between Israel and Iran, and the war internally in America. The crisis, I should say, the concern that I have. Are you serious?
I see geese flying high above the water, a child fishing with his father in the rain. I can smell blackberry brandy and chocolate-covered candy. I see a soldier crying on a train, falling asleep, reading Hemingway. And the light under the Tiffany lamp glows all night long as I dream with weary wonder, leaving Earth before the dawn. I walk the lonely streets of Paris. I was lost and so afraid, falling asleep, reading Hemingway. Feel the deepness of his weakness. I can taste the brandy sweetness at a roadside Idaho cafe. I can hear old Teddy laughing, Fitzgerald's toes a tapping to the roaring sounds of yesterday, falling asleep, reading Hemingway, and the light under the Tiffany lamp glows all night long, as I dream with weary wonder, leaving Earth before the dawn. I walked the lonely streets of Paris. I was lost and so afraid, falling asleep, reading Hemingway. And the light under the Tiffany lamp glows all night long, as I dream with weary wonder, leaving Earth before the dawn. I walked the lonely streets of Paris. I was lost and so afraid, falling asleep, reading Hemingway. And a shotgun blast echoed across the page, falling asleep, reading Hemingway.
All right, so I have some information. Some of you just joining us. Thank you for spontaneously showing up here. But 2 Minnesota lawmakers have been shot. One has been assassinated, and that's Minnesota lawmaker Democrat Melissa Hortman, who was once the Speaker of the House of the state of Minnesota, but she was assassinated along with her husband in their home this morning. Also, State Senator John Hoffman and his wife were shot in an assassination attempt in their home, shot multiple times, and both of them have been through surgeries. And Senator John Hoffman, State Senator John Hoffman, is in grave condition, and his wife is in critical condition. This happened this morning around 2 o'clock in the morning, and then as police, then after they realized that state representative Melissa Hortman had been killed and her husband, they then thought they better go and check on other lawmakers. So when they showed up at State Senator John Hoffman's house, he had already been shot, him and his wife, and the guy who did it had just come out of the house as they pulled in, and he was dressed as a police officer, wearing a police vest. He had a badge, he had a gun, he had a taser, he had other equipment like a police officer. Even his car was disguised as a police car with the lights and everything. And yet he wasn't. He was the assassin. Now the question is, was he the only assassin? Was there 2 different assassins? But we believe he's the only one, because in the car, because then he exchanged gunfire with the real police, and he missed them and they missed him. Matter of fact, he took off on foot and he outran them and got away. The guy, there's a manhunt right now, a dragnet, which you might want to bring in. You might want to bring in the FBI and the U.S. Marshals and everyone you can to hunt down the assassin of lawmakers in the state of Minnesota there just outside of Minneapolis. But remember, most of your law enforcement have been dispatched and spread out across America because there's 2,000 protests against the United States law enforcement, against the U.S. Army, against President Donald Trump, even against the American flag. So if you got to worry about security for 2,000 protests, plus you're trying to have a parade in Washington, who's out there able to hunt down a guy who pretended to be a police officer? This is not good. This is why these look, if you want to have a protest, that's America. You can do that. You can set it up, get a permit, everybody go out there peaceful. But when you set up 2,000 of them at once, You're overrunning. You're stretching the nation's ability to protect itself, including some of your own. So this has become very, someone said they even killed the dog. I mean, at this point, this guy will shoot and kill anybody. Now, FBI Deputy Director Dan Borgino said that the FBI is fully engaged on this on the ground in Minnesota. So it's going to take a manhunt is ongoing right now for this guy. And as that's taking place, you just wonder, he did leave a manifesto. And on that list inside that car was a list of other lawmakers that he was going to kill. So you wonder, is he on his own? Is there other people working with him? Did he know that this would be the perfect day to do it when the whole country would be tied up in 2,000 protests? I mean, you just wonder how that all plays out. And so we got to really pray. But seriously, pray for State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husbands, who were both murdered. Pray for their families. This is horrific. Also, please pray for State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, who were also shot multiple times this morning in their home. They're clinging to life, especially State Senator John Hoffman, who's in grave condition, and his wife in critical condition. Pray for them. Pray for their families. And pray for the state of Minnesota. And pray for the city of Minneapolis. And pray for the law enforcement of every agency trying to keep the order and peace across the nation today. And pray also for this country. Pray for also President Trump, because to me, this is a dangerous day where assassination plot could be against him, including anybody from the some of the illegals that have come in from the Middle East, especially the Iranians who've said they want to assassinate Trump. Now the Iranians are in a war with the Israelis, and they might have already turned their assassins loose in America. We just don't know. So this is a very dangerous time. Now, let me just tell you why I think that it's a communist takeover of America, which is the New World Order, basically. I wrote in my book, Revelation 9/11. If you guys will give me just another moment. I wrote about this in my book. In his best-selling 1958 book, The Naked Communist, Exposing Communism and Restoring Freedom, which sold nearly 2 million copies, the FBI Special Agent W. Cleon Skalskin listed 45 communist goals designed to abolish the United States Constitution and merge the United States into a Marxist theoretical one world government. This is what he wrote in his book. Number one, and this was in 1958, he wrote this. He said, number one, I'm going to give you 10 of them. Number one, promote the United Nations as the only hope for mankind. If its charter is rewritten, demand that it be set up as a one world government with its own independent armed forces. Number two, capture one or both of the political parties in the United States. Number three, get control of the schools. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communistic propaganda. Soften the curriculum. Get control of the Teachers Association and put the party line in the textbooks. They've done every bit of that. Number four, infiltrate the press. Get control of the book review assignments, editorial writing, and policy-making positions. Number five, eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and free press. Number six, present alternative lifestyle and even promiscuity, promote them as normal, natural, and healthy. Number seven, infiltrate the churches and replace revealed religion with social religion, discredit the Bible, and emphasize a need for intellectual maturity, like AI, I guess, which does not need a religious crutch. That sounds like Noah Harari. Number 8, eliminate, and not just that, I mean, teaching people not to worry, not that there is no God, teaching people all these weird theories like you came from an alien, or there is no God, or man evolved from a monkey. I mean, whether it be Darwinism. Look, they want to go away from creationism. Then they try to move everybody to Darwinism, and now they're moving everybody to alienism, trying every way in the world to tell you that you were not made in the image and likeness of God. I don't want to start preaching. Let me read on. Number 8, eliminate prayer or any phase of religious expression in the schools on the grounds that it violates the principle of separation of church and state. Number 9, discredit the American founding fathers. Have we not seen this? Present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. And number 10, create the impression that violence and an insurrection are legitimate aspects of American tradition and freedom of speech. You mean today? 2,000 protests at once? And use the students and special interest groups should rise up and use a united force to solve the economic, political, and social problems of America. Does this not sound like all 10 of these are not only in process, many of them already been completed? This is the top 10. This is the naked communist. And so I wanted to include that in this book so you understand when I talk about a new world order, I'm talking about a beast kingdom from the Bible that operates in violence and also is a blasphemous against God and says there is no God. It's going to be a long day, so I'm going to get off here now because I'm sure there's more going on in Israel right now and Iran. And plus, the parade is tonight. I'm very nervous about all of that, and I'm very nervous about these 2,000 protests. And before we can even get those protests started, we have assassinations already. It's not good. It's just not. Dear Jesus, help us in the name of Jesus. Lord, why do the people have such anger in their hearts? Because the Bible says, because iniquity abounds, the love of many waxes cold.